Okay, so for question 4a, this is asking you about transfers and transformations using examples from the water cycle. So I think all of you did this very well. Your transfers are movements from one place to another without a change in state or a change in form. And your transformations are changes in form or in state, which in the water cycle is really easy. Many of you mentioned like condensation, so the formation of clouds, or precipitation, so rain coming from water vapor. Transfers, once that water vapor has become liquid water, so falling from the clouds, or the movement of groundwater or runoff. So all you needed to do here was define a transfer, define a transformation, give an example from the water cycle, and give an example from the water cycle. Moving on to 4b. So 4b, you did a good job of setting out at the beginning of the question. You defined climate, you defined the productivity, and you defined biome. And that's good for trying to get your expression of ideas, but I don't think that they were looking for definitions. Maybe a productivity might have got you a mark in here. I know that's hard to try and figure out, and I would recommend that you do exactly as you did. I thought that the essays were well laid out. So keep on doing that. That will help with your expression of ideas. So explaining the role of climate. So you picked a name biome. We did a really good job of naming it. So some of you said, I'm going to talk about the rainforest, or I'm going to talk about the tundra, and that was excellent. And then, first of all, then you're going to delve into what's its distribution. So why is it found where it's found? And so when you're talking about productivity, you're talking about two things mainly. Light is one of them. And then notice this whole question is about water. So that's a big clue. So where does water fall? Where is light the most? And you might also mention temperature, because temperature affects the speed of reactions. It does affect productivity. So why are light and water so important? Because of photosynthesis. And so once I saw you mention that, that's a mark in there, because that's explaining now why productivity is high or low in particular areas of light or water is present or absent. So the distribution, so why would you have more light in particular parts of the world? Well, it depends on the tilt of the Earth's axis. So some countries are going to have a lot of sun in the summer months of July, August, September. So the sun is over here. The energy, the radiation is being received directly then. Even as this area of the world is turning with each day, it's always receiving light. Whereas the equator is sort of receiving half light, half, so you get 12-hour days, 12-hour nights. And of course down here in the Antarctic, this is winter in July and August, it's not receiving light at any point of the day. So whereabouts on the Earth you're located does affect, but make sure you have that explanation correct. And when Earth's around the other side, okay, so now the tilt is like this, so the tilt is the same, now Earth is on the other side, it's December. Look at the Antarctic. The Antarctic is getting rays directly all day long. No matter where on the Antarctic kind of sphere you are, you're going to get light rays. But if you're up here in the Arctic Circle, you're not going to get any light rays because you're facing away from the sun. But the equator is going to get about the same amount. So this very constant amount of daylight at the equator. Now, because the equator is also receiving so much radiation from the sun year-round, you've got more evaporation, transpiration, and then to do with, the area, the currents, the ocean currents, will depend on whether you have a desert or a rainforest. So you might have mentioned ocean currents. That's fine if you didn't. So then you've got higher amounts of rainfall, and you're going to link all of that now, this light, this water, to photosynthesis, and photosynthesis determines how much primary productivity there is in a particular region. So if there's plenty light, plenty water, the temperature is warm, productivity will be high. I like that some of you brought in secondary consumers or primary consumers and not just producers, so that they also have a productivity, so like secondary productivity. And that's going to depend then on the plants and things that are growing at that particular biome. And the amount of energy that they have stored up is going to depend on the amount of energy that is produced by the producers. So overall, for 6 marks, you can mention these 3 things: light, water, temperature. You can explain them. Maybe you just explain light and water. So you get a mark for mentioning them. You get a mark for explaining them. You link them to productivity. You make sure that you name your biome. There's no mark for naming the biome, but if you don't name the biome,